Hello, guys. Welcome to the Train Parrot and to another episode of the Live TA Elite. This is a session that we do every Thursday with our elite members. We ask them to decide which coins they want me to review. In this case, as you can see, we also have a stock. So it's not just limited specifically to all coins or crypto. It could be anything, indices, Forex, whatever you want me to review. And you can join live as an elite member. So I got you here in the chat. I'm going to say hi at the moment to see how many people are there. And you can also watch the recording. If you're not a Patreon member, if you're not an elite member, you can watch it on Fridays. If you want to join, the link is in the description. It's also appearing right now on the screen. We're gonna read first what coins we got. Of course, we have BTC. BTC is making big moves. Solana, APT, Fartcoin, SUI, Ethereum, Pump, and a stock called BMNR related to mining of Bitcoin, XRP, BID, QNT, and SPX. So let's get started with the first one. Remember that when we do these sessions, we usually give more love, more time, more in-depth analysis to the coins that are making more votes. So if you want, you can vote for the ones that you like. Every elite member gets 5 hearts, and you can distribute it across other people's coins or the ones that you are adding to the list. So that makes it very, democratic in a way. On BTC, there are no specific questions. I don't see you. I got the chat in here. No one's asking anything specific. We got incoming video for BTC today on Thursday, so do not worry. I'm gonna cover everything on BTC on that, and I don't want to bore you with the same over and over. So watch that one. For Solana, which is the next coin, I'm going to do a short update on what's going on with the upside, but bear in mind that the last week I published as well a fully dedicated video on Solana. I'm going to show you which one it is this one in here 2 days ago. So make sure that you watch the in-depth for Solana, XRP, Cardano, and Chainlink. Everything else that I haven't covered this week, I'm going to cover here right now, live, in depth. And of course, you can always ask me within the chat live anything that you want. So Solana has been so far defending the breakout in the most bullish way on the momentum, but so far it has already done a little bit of damage. This is not a damage that I will say, well, we are all going to hell with Solana, but I will say that there has been already a breakdown of the most bullish support that was supposed to be 59, but we broke into 56.8, and now we are testing as resistance the lost support. The best scenario for Solana will be that during this week, thanks to the upside momentum of Bitcoin, if that translates into sustained upside for Ethereum, that we see on Solana a reclaim. After that reclaim, the first thing I'm going to be looking into is into a higher high for the momentum, and that's how we can see continuation. Of course, if Bitcoin ends this week to the downside, yes, Solana could do something like this, unfortunately, because that's a breakdown, right? And my last line in the sense for Solana will be getting into somewhere like the 50s, 52, and at which time, we can still get a rally within these constraints. It's no longer the most accelerated and most bullish one. It is a compromise, but unfortunately, Solana has been underperforming in all this period, and we can see that when there's profit taking, it tends to break support. If you don't believe me, after this breakout, that's what we did, and then we have a second layer and a third layer, and it was really painful to watch. But after Ethereum does a lot of things, I will expect that Solana will catch up, and you can watch my in-depth because I did a Solana versus Ethereum chart to call out for how cool that looked like. The danger at the moment, the drama that Solana is facing is that it lost this support. That was a move down of almost 70%, and we are doing some sort of revenge rally here on the price, and we just hit that trend line and we got a rejection. So we need now to resume against this line somehow into the highs. I still think that in October, November, we're going to see decent moves coming in for Solana. Just to disclose, I sold all at around 270 publicly, and then we got this correction, and I haven't accumulated again Solana. I call for reaccumulation around the $100, but I personally didn't reaccumulate Solana. That's just me. Was just looking probably at something else, and I wanted to take care of my other investments, and I just let go Solana. For me, getting into 270 and having bought in the bear market, I call it. I'm done with Solana for this cycle. But of course, I'm doing my analysis and bias for you if you are interested on trading Solana on your end. Solana is currently very close to an area of value in here after having achieved pretty much an all-time high in terms of longs when we got into 74. That was early September. Okay, in terms of ratio of longs shorts that managed to break this resistance of 65. We called for that. We called it out in the past, and now there is some profit taking. As long as we are around here, this is an area of value. This is an area where we could resume the move up. Just notice that this happened before, so this breakdown in here. So I wouldn't be surprised that this does something like this and then it continues. Solana does a lot of that, not just in the longs, shorts, but in the price action. All of these failures and things, I kind of got used to that behavior. Let's look at Solana in terms of liquidity pools. Although I cover extensively that in the main video, let's see where we are today. Also, we take the chance to look at the daily. So the next liquidity pools that we have to the upside is at 262. That is a pretty large one, but I keep my eyes on $300. You can see how it fails this achieves this high, then a lower high. That's a bearish divergence located at 250. And then on the daily, we broke down. We did a pretty decent breakdown with a lower low at 34. And now we need to see what happens when we reach 63, which is probably going to be around these highs of 240. I'm not sure it's going to make it to 263, to be fully honest, by not breaking this line. It is doable. It is attractive to get to 260, but the momentum is going to have some challenging times in here. So how can we get into 260? Maybe we could do it by doing something like this. Not necessarily doing a high in here or something like this. We'll see. It's just a matter of probabilities. Of course, I cannot see the future. Let's go with APT. So APT has done declining levels of momentum. We can track them with the price, we can track them with the momentum, and we can see that we've been holding historically since listing times that 36. That's where on the weekly Aptos is finding a bottom, and that is not an exception. In the recent past, in May, we found a hidden divergence, and we are on our way to what we were calling. We were calling for this to be accumulation and to go straight into 59. But we're going to have to change that because, we got this incoming at 55, not at 59. So we need to decrease the expectation of where is resistance. That is at 56. And we need to update on the reverse RSI. Let's remove these guys and let's put just, I think it was 54. Like that, and that is coming in at 5.5. That's the next resistance on the weekly. Now, if we could break beyond that, that is big for Aptos because Aptos has been shrinking but not losing the support. So it means that we could be in accumulation. We have divergences because these highs, each high that we have in here in the momentum gets more longs. So these longs could persist, break the 81 and get us into an actual rally in here out of the 55. And that's how we could see Aptos getting into this resistance, which is no longer this one. Of course, we need to be thinking on this breaking first. That's step one. And that can get us around the $6. If we hold the $6, we could get a rally into $10 now. Now we have resistance there, but we need to leave the $11 more as a question mark now. Initially, if we took less time, we could have gone into the confluence of both, but now I will leave it as a question mark. Can we really get to that level? Because for doing that, we need to produce a breakout of the declining highs that we currently see on Aptos. Let's look at liquidity on Aptos. And I'm wondering, because I haven't seen any message from Elite members, if they are finding the link to the video. We should look into the chat of Elite on Patreon to see if the link is there and if the link is actually working in the article, because I'm surprised that I haven't seen any of you guys. I usually get tons of questions here. So let's look into that potential technical issue. Aptos has, at the moment, decent liquidity in here, which is the order block that started the rally from 3.8 into $5, and that is our current risk. This 3.8 is not achievable if Bitcoin doesn't do the equivalent thing. On Bitcoin, we left the 107, we left the CME gap, and I think this very heavy level is achievable if Bitcoin decides to also go for that. If Bitcoin persists with the upside, we are definitely gonna get into the $6 or towards those levels based on that. So the link is working fine. So you guys, you're just missing out the live stream today. Let's go with the next one, which is Fartcoin. Fartcoin has very little time since listed, so I'm just gonna drop it to the daily just to see if I need these lines. Definitely not. On daily, we got coming in a daily resistance that is at 52.50. That daily resistance is at 75 cents, which is the previous lost support in there, more or less. So if we could break that, the next resistance is going to come in at 0.93. That is in confluence with the point of control at 88. Then we got this other one. That was another rejection. Let's place this like that. And those are the next levels of resistance. That's on the daily. On the weekly, let me see, because this pattern in here, we got a double top. The double top play out most of it. Yeah, I could say almost all of it. And it's currently around the support of 66 on the weekly. And this specific pattern, unfortunately, this is from the daily. Let me remove it. So this pattern to me on the weekly is bullish, guys. This pattern is bullish, okay? On the momentum. On the price, let's see what we got. We got this with that. So we got a similar pattern. And I would love to see this week Fartcoin to break out on the weekly, because this particular pattern could break pretty decently. So we got a neck that can bring you back into the 2.81. That's the highest close on the weekly. And we got at the moment a momentum, a spring constraint to the maximum. I'm not going to say the maximum because the maximum means that this cannot go any further down, and it can, right? We all know that any pattern can fail, or even if it doesn't fail, it can go lower because this is resistance and you can go to 42. So let's go and track that 42 first, because, you know, I'm a fan of identifying risk, and that's how I trade, right? I trade looking at risk, and risk is at the moment 47, which pretty much coincides with the area in here of support that started the green only area here, right? So that's the most bullish, and that could be the downside of another leg down of that. Notice that entering on farting here against resistance is at risk by itself. So ideally, you will have entered at the support of 44 when you were pinching the red at 52. Of course, no one is perfect, and maybe you missed that entry. So you could either say, well, this is not for me, it's too late, I'm against resistance, or you could enter small at 46 and be prepared for a 42 or for a deeper move into around this area of support. So it's all about strategy and acknowledging what is the risk of entering here, what is the likelihood of going to the next leg down. Or if you miss, it's better to have entered at 45, that if this starts already a massive peak into 52 and you already missed half of the move, that chasing that forbidden to chase that. Once you are already here, that can fail into a new low. Therefore, no. And at that point, the longs will be too overcrowded. Now, let's speed up this because, of course, the first coins get the most love. Let's go into SUI, and from now on, I'm gonna be going into less detail. But for Fartcoin, let's do an exception and let's see the liquidity levels. Sam, hi, Mariano. The link worked for me. That's great. Amazing. So Fartcoin just liquidated a decent amount at 72, and we got a 0.8 incoming. This rolling over is actually bullish against the 0.7. I'm hoping that this can break out into the 87. I like when I see this sort of price action, like lower low, lower highs, and suddenly we get a flip in the structure, right? We get higher highs and higher lows, even if it's a smaller time frame. This by itself could follow Bitcoin, of course, to the upside, but just use rich risk management. If you are watching as well in parallel this live stream and the Bitcoin video that we should have put just out live, then you probably know that we print a Gartley pattern. And what that means, well, watch the video to see what could be the specific target, because I think it's around 107, the potential, of course, not guaranteed. SUI. Let's go with SUI. Oh, nice. I like this. I made a video about SUI recently, and I was talking about defending that the bulls were defending the $3 on the RSI, which is what we are looking at on this third wave that is a lot less powerful than the wave 1 and 2. So we are adjusting our expectations to that. $3 held, and that helped also holding the 49 RSI and potentially putting a double bottom around support on the momentum. So that brings the probability of the 35 or the puke lower or the dead cat bounce less likely. Not impossible, right? That depends on how we close the week. So SUI ideally getting into the 53, making a strong statement. Yeah, I'm defending that $3 support, and I'm getting ready for a weekly breakout. Now, the weekly breakout expectations of myself are a bit more constrained, given that this wave has been so disappointing this time. So we got kind of this look thing of the 64 that could turn against into resistance, just like it happening here. Very different to this, right? This went just straight to the upside. This had a little bit of bigger hiccups, but always higher highs and very pronounced ones. These ones, the hiccup is just too big, and that completely spoiled this wave and has the risk of just doing this and then doing a dead cat bounce. And that's why I treat it a bit careful at the moment. Where is the support? Well, the support is pretty much where we are. We got in here that 64, and we got that 81. And let's track the 64, the 81, and I encourage you to watch the full video just in case. I'm doing this live, so sometimes I make some mess ups, but always the recorded one has the full support. This one is a little bit more improvised. So that support holding a price, potentially completing a double bottom as well on the weekly in here. The neck is at 367. That's where we got that resistance. Equivalent to this is the 117.2 on Bitcoin weekly that we also were facing a neckline, and we were trying to break it. We got a rejection with Bitcoin. We came down, and then we broke out beyond 119. So SUI hasn't done that. SUI needs to get to the place where Bitcoin is. SUI needs to get into 3.7 and go beyond into 3.8. That's where he catches up with 119. So if Bitcoin holds that, this guy is going to want to catch up. He's going to want to go to 3.8 and to break out into price discovery. Longs are not very overcrowded in here. You can see this wave, this other wave, and this one, which is kind of right, with lower lows on the longs. Somehow the longs are not showing that much interest in SUI this time. Yeah, but watch the full video, because I don't remember really, but I have the feeling that I say that big orders were accumulating on SUI, and sometimes you don't see it because it's retail, the one that loses interest, but it's actually institutions, the ones that start buying in at this support, and then they get the privilege of buying right at support. So watch out with that video too, to complement with this, let's look at liquidation levels on SUI. There you go. Yeah, so SUI failing here, right? So I was looking for a double bottom, then I put this handle in here. I always was looking for the 3.9 to break into the liquidity up until 4.8, but there's been lower lows and the support at 3 held. And that's what we got so far, right? But we have lower highs, we have lower lows. That all calls for caution, for less greediness. But I think during this cycle is low likely that we do not take at the very least the 4.8 into the $5 for SUI. Now, if we do that, notice that that is a breakout from this area. Once you get into the liquidity, I wouldn't call for closing the deal. I wouldn't tell you, yeah, take profits and go home. I will say put potentially, if you're bullish on SUI, put a stop loss somewhere in profit at around 4.7 or slightly lower, in case we pinch this liquidity and we enter into a rally. So you don't miss that rally, right? I don't want you to come back to me and say, hey, you say all the potential was 5. Well, I don't know what is the potential. I'm just calling for probabilities. And you always need to be prepared for those things to go beyond. The extension of 1 is 5, but the golden pocket is 6.5. So who knows? We could get there. Right. Let's go to the next coin. SUI Pump. Is the BTC Bitcoin live? The BTC video? I wonder if we have that live. It will be nice. Ethereum. Let's go with Ethereum. Ethereum put some bearish pattern in here on the weekly, and it also produced this ascending wedge, and it ended up breaking down. Now it's kind of recovering, which is positive. It pinched 3.8, and I just purchased a tiny bit of Ethereum. I say that below 4K into 3.5 is my buying area. If we got into 3.5, I will have been a bit more interested. What I have now is in profit at 4 almost, but I wonder if Ethereum is gonna be able to reclaim 68. That is, I guess, the big question at the moment. I hope it does, because Ethereum doing well is not just Ethereum. Putting a new high of Ethereum at $5,000, if we just do a revenge rally, very humble expectation from the point of view of momentum, that should benefit all the altcoins, because altcoins look at the master of altcoins, which is Ethereum, and they mimic as long as Ethereum doesn't blow off. If Ethereum goes into 5 and then it crashes, well, forget about that. But if Ethereum puts a range in here and it prepares for another wave up, well, the altcoins are going to be really happy. But my question is, can it do that once we get into 5K, if we get into 5K? At the moment, the longs are not a lot. So look at this. There has been a big flash from 4.9K into 3.8K. And so far, there is very little amount of longs, and they are in the area of value. To get into 3.5, we need to get slightly lower than this. If we want to continue, we have upside into 66. We just had one, and before another one in January in 2025. So that's kind of the range for longs and shorts. And there is some social spiking in here, but not by a lot. We are still very far, very, very far from what we did in 2021. 93% dominance on social network. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting 20, 30, around that for the peak. Unless, of course, I'm completely wrong and we go into 10K with Ethereum, which I already state. My exit is up to 4.9K. That's the liquidity. We'll see if it goes beyond that. I reserve the rest of the rally for retail. I'm gonna act like a whale, right? Whales do that. And let's go into Ethereum liquidity. And we got liquidity at 5.1, so that could bring that in. This looks like a bull flag, so you got also a pinch in here that looks like every pinch before. So this pinch, liquidity hunt, resume, pinch, liquidity hunt, resume, pinch. Do we have our pinch? Yes, it's there. So there is a narrative to get into 5.1 and to do that revenge rally that I was talking about. Cool. Look at this. It's crazy. Resistance is a bit further away on the daily, so that there is also some upside from the daily time frame. And watch my video on Ethereum. I do comparisons against BTC and other things. Let's go with the next one. Oh, Ethereum went up. Anyways, everything is changing. Did I do, am I missing one? I'm gonna do pump. Let's do pump. I need to drop this. But let me see first. Oh, incredible. We cannot do RSI with so little candles. On the daily. This is nice. It's nice because, well, we went up in here, lost, and reclaiming. At the moment, we are holding that level. On momentum, we are reclaiming too. So that's what I mean by nice. And from the highs, so this is a breakout that managed to reclaim. So we need to hold 57 to get the most bullish forecast. And where is 57? Ah, damn it. These prices that are so small. Yeah, we already hit 57. As you can see there, when we were at 66, notice that I'm multiplying by any random number just to see the numbers. So at 66, we pinch it. So we already test support on the daily. And hopefully that support holds so we can resume to the upside and we can get another wave. So, sorry, I'm doing it wrong. From where we start to the high to the low. And if we repeat the same performance in here, we can get into 111. 1618 is 150. With RSI, I wouldn't say anything. In terms of target, I have not enough history on the 4 hour. Maybe I can do something, but no, it's still in the rally here, in the rally space on the 4 hour. On the daily, yeah, there was a breakdown. Maybe I can connect this with this. Yeah, well, I already did. Anyways, let's change it back to pump and let's look at some liquidity pools on pump on the monthly. I am new to this community. Bish is saying, is there a course I can take to learn the concepts and tools? I'm afraid not, but of course you can always ask me questions live in the streams that we have once a week. You can also make use of the community within Patreon. There's a chat and you can use the elite area to leave your questions there. Anyone that is elite is going to get their questions guaranteed as long as I know the answer. Yeah, on this particular pattern in here, there's something I don't like. It looks like an ascending wedge. I cannot draw it here. Maybe I can draw it in a lower time frame. Is it an ascending wedge? Let me see. It's on the 4 hour potentially, so it's more or less no. I mean, there's not enough point of contacts. Maybe I'm being a little bit paranoid because typically you need at least three points of contact because this is just one and we just swing low. These cools start moving and then you don't have a pattern. But yeah, initially I saw it like an ascending wedge, in which case the target is the bottom and then hit the 45. Of course, if Bitcoin goes to 107, yeah, you hit 45. Otherwise, we can continue into 81 and we have a big liquidation at 88 that you probably want to be aware of. Next coin is not a coin, is a stock, is BMNR. Let's have a look at that. This one has a very interesting price action. On the daily, you can see it better. So it's peaked at 878 and now it's trading at $52. It pretty much behaves like a meme coin. In 2021, it did a second peak in here at that cat bounce that was $100, and we recently in July reached 160. But since then, we are consolidating around the point of control of 52. So bullishness for the stock means breaking from the symmetrical triangle around the point of control and being on the bullish side of the spectrum. So getting anywhere around here, there's going to be a supply, there's going to be demand below, supposedly at areas of previous resistance. Like this is your area of accumulation and then you get the pump. I don't know what happening here. Probably was earnings, which are negative and reported 2.2 million. Anyways, we got new earnings incoming in here on end of October. So looking at the RSI in here, do we have something on the daily? We have something that is developing in here with higher lows. Definitely we have confirmation that we are in a squeeze. So I will really love, number one, a breakout on the momentum daily beyond 59, which is this price. And I would really like if that can happen before the price can do it, which is something that we can already see up front. 59 price is, 59 RSI is 57 price. So we could break out on the RSI before the price does, because the price is constrained to this descending white line, which happens at 58, $1 after. So that fulfills my expectation of RSI doing it first, momentum, and then price following, which has a higher rate of success. Well, in my mind, I don't track it one by one, but I feel like every time that the RSI has done it first, we get more wins. And when the price does it first, you get at least a 50% of failures, in my opinion. And that's when I start being more conservative, smaller size, or I don't take the deal. On the weekly, very similar thing. We have a squeeze. We're consolidating it at the 55s, which is on the bullish side of the RSI. And we're so far not coming back down. And there seems to be an equilibrium in here as we approach the earnings. So hopefully this is going to break out to the upside, but I gave you more or less how you can fine tune that exit with more likelihood. Obviously, use risk management in this area of the triangle. Triangles sometimes can break out like this. So I'm going to just draw it so you can think about the risk management. So let's say this goes into 76 and then still collapses. Sometimes that happens out of triangles. So when you typically trade the support on a long, assuming you want a long, because you might want to short this, I don't know. If you want to long it, you trade the support either of the RSI or of the price. And if you get lucky and things go well, this goes into the breakout and it confirms, or it intra-candle is in a breakout. At that point, you trade your stop loss to lock in your break even or something in case there is a failure. If there's no failure, this guy will rally and then you trail with the stop loss to the upside. So you try to minimize the time that you are full risk, and you try to keep always your trade at risk free. Now, if you enter at support and it pukes before the event, personally, I look to DCA at areas of major support. Rarely I take the loss. Rarely I accept the loss. I'm not implying never take a loss, because sometimes you must take a loss, but it really needs to be you take a loss when you didn't use any management, any idea of what you were doing, and you are, there's literally no way to rescue something. But if you use proper management, proper planning, I tend to not take the loss, because I tend to have a plan of what will happen if things go wrong. That's the main point. Let's go with XRP. We already have a revenge rally into 70 after having lost this support. That's called a revenge rally. We have double bottom on momentum, hidden bullish divergence. We are forming a smaller double bottom in here, thanks to Bitcoin decent price action that could increase the chances that this second leg in here, the first one is the larger one, and the second one, which I cover in a video with targets 245. And we also cover the liquidity on XRP. Or where is XRP? I cannot see. I just have to use search every time for some reason. XRP, forming this double bottom together with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has already formed it, and it has already put a daily around this area. XRP still is kind of 2/3 done, completing the neckline. The area tradable is the lows for the longs, but you can see that many people traded this XRP thing. There are expectations that some bullish things are coming in for XRP with ETFs and stuff, and it's tradable as a target to 3.3 or to 3.6 in terms of liquidity pools. There's plenty of them up until $4, but the risk is very heavy in here. Too many longs entered too quickly into October, right there on 26th of September, and they created all this big thing of liquidity. The biggest one is 1.5, but I reserve that for bear market or for Bitcoin really topping, right? Otherwise, I will expect this guy, worst case, it takes the liquidity and then rallies, or it completes the double bottom with Bitcoin and then it goes straight into the $4, and we leave this liquidity for later. The breakout is not as healthy on the daily, because it broke out and it put put a new low relative to the base of the breakout. So it's kind of, I don't know, something is going on with XRP. I will expect a lot more excitement and a lot more overcrowded space. Let's see if that's changing now on the socials. On Lunar Crush, now we are at a social dominance of 4.8%. Wow, that's a big push. I think when I made the video, it was at 2.4 on the lower end, very close to the lower Bollinger Band. But now we are back into this area. It's not bullish to enter when everybody is bullish. It's ideal to do it at the lows. And that low of attention was when this was pinching to 7. Now we are trading at around $3, but that is also a neckline. So that makes the risk to reward poorer than entering at 2.7, because the neckline in here can produce a liquidity hand and fail, or it could face resistance at $3 and still go to the lower end. That's what I mean by low risk to reward ratio. Expectations in terms of bullishness is rallying to 78, which I think I was tracking in my video too, and that brings in the price into levels of 5.2. In terms of longs versus shorts, we are right there at the area of value. And there's plenty of space to go into 66. Next coin is QNT. QNT, together with Chromia, was one of my preferred coins to do trading bots. QNT got very close to the support after the double top in here and the bearish divergence, had to pay a visit to support. We've been closer and closer to the area of value, but we still don't touch it. In terms of price action, QNT is trapped into this range around the point of control of $100. So anywhere above $100 is the bullish half, and below is the bearish half. And let me see, this is September, it peaked at 400. We got an incoming resistance at 193. Extension of 1 from this low means coming back into 180. Golden pocket is 250. That will be a higher high relative to October 2022. But this is really poor performance, in my opinion. There are plenty of coins that have done some highs somewhere around this area. This seems to be doing really poorly. There are some that are doing even worse, that you can do like a triangle descending of highs. In this case, there is this, which is ascending, but it's not the most bullish looking. We are defending the 86. We reclaim the point of control. That's on the bullish side, but bullish with some limitations in terms of expectations of how high we can get. If I got into 180 and I was invested from the lows, I will get really itchy to get out, or to trail it as usual. And there is an incoming breakout that you could track in here once we get into 57. Let me see, where is that? So the resistance of 115 is coming in here, and that could bring a weekly breakout. That definitely track that one once we get into this line, which could happen later, right? Because this could do this, and then you find it at 54. So you need to track the chart. You need to track the RSI and the RSI reverse to see how that is adapting, to understand when we effectively produce the weekly breakout, and then be aware, ideally above the $100 to be on the bullish side. And let's look at liquidity pools, QNT. And any questions in the chat, guy, in the live chat is always going to be covered. Or if you want to ask something that I'm currently saying, I will see immediately the messages scrolling and I will try to answer. So we got decent liquidity up until 113. Then there is a vacuum that resumes from 118 into 121. That is very short-term liquidity. This double bottom probably is on the 4-hour. That's why I haven't seen it yet. There is this double bottom. Let's see if we have achieved the technical target already. So if I put this in here, that is around 111. Yeah, that completes probably with this liquidity. So the target of this double bottom is to, erase all that. If we can get into 120 and take that liquidity, we could form here a cap and handle. The cap is not very rounded, but basically it's a recovery into the same price, and there is another one in here. So I pair that with that, and then I make a target of all this high. And let's do it actually. So we need to get into this neckline at 111. Sorry, it's higher than that. It's the 121. And let me measure the height of the full pattern from the neckline of 121 into 86. And we place it right there. And that is giving us a target of 151. But there is work to do, right? And again, Bitcoin is already around these levels. But if Quantum, I think is called, gets into 119, then we can break out from there all the way to 150. That's a technical target, guys. It's not a forecast. It's a technical target. So treat it in that way. What do I mean by a technical target? I mean that the range of what it can achieve at its maximum potential is that, but you don't take it for granted. You protect yourself against it not happening. It's the opposite. I don't take it for granted and I say, that's what's happening. Therefore, I'm going to position myself for that happening. I position myself for that not happening. So I take the position and I start protecting. When is it going to fail? That's my attitude. And I protect it, trying to get it as soon as possible at risk-free and letting it breathe into that final potential and trying to always lock in as much as possible, because I do not know if we are going to get there. That's the fact. I just use the technical target as a place to look at. Last one is SPX, and Sam is asking, do you have a target price to exit your BTC long, or do you plan to continue with a trailing stop loss for now? Yes, I'm planning to trail with the stop loss for now. I'm looking for a time to move it up. Remember, I have it around the 113.5 on the recent swing low. We've done such a big move up now that I'm kind of battling with myself whether to move it at 116 or 17, because the cost of moving it too early is if now we take the fair value gap I mentioned in my Bitcoin video and we take some other things and the Bartley whatever pattern plays out, it's going to take my stop loss. And if that is a fake out, is a bear trap, then it's going to push me out of my trade. And then I don't catch any significant move. And there can be significant moves. If we look at the daily, there are targets into 125, 30. And I don't want to be sitting on my hands all November saying, well, I took profits at 110 or whatever. So, sorry, at 116, which is likely to get a wipe. If we move now into 125, after having built some bull flag at 120.19, that bull flag low brings in another move for me of my stop loss. But that's me. You do what you want. You might be more conservative. You might be more bullish, less bullish. You need to narrow down to your own expectations, what you want to do. Anyways, let's go with the last one, which is SPX 6900. Why do they put those names? It's horrible. We got in here on the weekly something looking a bit bullish in here. Let's see. So we got some sort of breakout in here that is also supported by these lows. That is kind of a falling wedge that is breaking out. On the price action, it looks the opposite. It looks bearish in here. Yeah, I'm always going to say what I see, right? There is a bearish and a bullish part of this, to be fully honest. Let's see if we can see it together. Let me know in the comments, what is bearish of this pattern? Okay, I cannot wait for too long because people are going to get bored. It's a inverse, it's a head and shoulders, right? Well, that's a bearish pattern. So what is bullish about it? Think about this area in here. What is bullish? It is bullish because it broke down, okay? We got the neckline right here, or if you want, you can put the neckline there. Some people put it anywhere, right? But I prefer to put it here at the close. And this guy, pinch, close below, confirmed. This guy could reclaim it. That means that all these poor bastards that enter in a short in this candle are now thinking, what are we gonna do, right? And they're starting to close their positions. That adds fuel for upside. So it's bullish if the green one reclaims, and that is an intra candle. So I cannot really say this is confirmed bullish. It's potential bullish if we go into we close like this week. We have some incoming resistance because there's a point of control in here. 1-3 is a peak of volume, so that should turn into tough. Should be tough to beat. We already faced that and we failed once. Bitcoin had the same one there and it failed into the bull market support band. Bitcoin has already reclaimed this one. So if Bitcoin carries on, this guy could do it. And I think Bitcoin saved the day in here. Otherwise, this guy will have play out a little bit more of the technical target of this. The technical target probably is a negative number, so it's invalid. So the technical target is minus 0.18. we're going there. Yeah, sure. Impossible. So there has to be some partial target from the bearish pattern. But I think it's now more likely that if we end up like this on Sunday, then we are going to resume to the upside. We already have higher highs. We got this moving here. If this is all we go low, then we are witnessing, a bullish pattern on the weekly and, a channel like this. Hopefully that is the pivot. We don't know yet. And on the daily, it looks like this. So hopefully this is due for another wave up, possibly into 2.5. Let's look at this from other perspectives. We are not that overcrowded on longs. We are kind of in the median, but definitely more longs than in the previous area of accumulation, confirming the breakout on there. And liquidity pools are looking like this. Liquidity at $2, that's the maximum, and 1.5. Yes. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoy the live stream. And if you're watching this on Friday, you're watching it for free. That's the recorded, edited version with timestamps for all the altcoins. And you feel like you would like to join a live one, a TA asking questions and suggesting the coins you want, then you can join as an elite member. The link is in the description. It's also appearing on the screen right now. And before I go, I'm going to read the last question. We still have 3 minutes. Thanks for the private video with all the extended info. Very handy to have all this info to be at the party so quickly when a rally in alts started. Yep, thanks so much, Magnum Cis. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Remember that the last Thursday of the month there's Pine Script workshop, and that is the only exception in the month where we don't do live TA. Okay, see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.